I want to start by saying I do not have permission to tell this story. 6 years ago, 6 or 7, I was a makeup artist. One weekend, one of my friends comes to me and she says, my friend Abigail is getting married. Now, I've actually met Abigail, but my friend's forgotten. I have not forgotten. Abigail is a right twat. When I met Abigail, she ignored me. I specifically remember walking into the room and she didn't even look up from the magazine that she was reading. And she's one of those people that spoke about herself absolutely non-stop. A few days later, I get the message. I've been summoned. Her Majesty knows my name. Lucky me. She's getting married and she would like a trial. And the message is absolutely lovely. She's asking me how I am. Seems that she hasn't forgotten when we met. Except in her mind, it's almost like we've been best friends since then. Which is bizarre, but I let it go. At this point, I'm heavily pregnant. And a bridal trial can take hours. And that's not something that I really wanted to do when I had like 2 weeks until my due date. So I explained to her I would absolutely love to do her wedding makeup, but unfortunately, because I'm so pregnant at this point, it will have to be after the baby's here. And the wedding is in 18 months at this point, and normally I would recommend doing a trial like 12 months before, max. So she seems to take it well. Next thing I know, my friend calls me. My friend's the maid of honour. Please, 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 will you just do it for her? I beg you. I agree to it. We set the date. 1 week later. So by this point, I'm a week off my due date. And I end up having to get induced. So the day that the trial was supposed to be ends up having to be pushed back because obviously I am in labour. Now, if you know girls like Abigail, you will know that she was not best pleased. My induction ends in an emergency C-section. Next 3-4 weeks, I'm pretty much like bedbound, if not hobbling around. She's not happy. This wedding is going to be like the wedding of the year. She's marrying into a farmer's family, which is basically like royalty here in the UK. And their wedding's going to be happening somewhere in France, in some sort of posh provenance, which I've never heard of. Pressure is mounting. I send her a little message and I explain that I really can't be standing on my feet for that amount of time. Now, while I'm on maternity, I do have someone covering me, and it is in fact one of my sisters, who has been working with me for around 2 years at this point and is very good. So I offer Abigail the next best thing. I say she can have an appointment with my sister rather than me, and that my sister will write down all of her products and that the makeup will be almost exactly the same. And we can do a trial at a later date. The girl says yes, reluctantly. We book a date in, and on the day she arrives 30 minutes late. She comes, she gets her makeup done by Susie, she seems really happy, and she leaves. A few days later, I get a text message from her. She's not happy. She didn't like her makeup. And she feels like she's overpaid. At £80 for 2.5 hours work, she feels like she should have got something extra. What did you want, a sticker? Now I'm just getting annoyed. The only thing I can think to do at this time is ask my mum if she'll have the baby, who is at this point 2 weeks old. And I do another trial with her. I've seen the pictures from the first trial, and my makeup looks no different. Because of the drama with the first trial, I decided not to charge her. In hindsight, she doesn't even mention paying me. She kind of just walks out. Between that trial date and the actual wedding, she invites me to several different things. And I actually start to think she's all right. We start to get along quite well. The date of the wedding comes around, and by this point, I'm actually a guest. The wedding morning was a bizarre, chaotic day I have ever been involved in. This girl is fighting with everyone. Now, in the best possible way, her family is not what I expected. They're lovely. And actually, they remind me of my family quite a lot. There's no airs and graces. They're just a normal family. Everything this girl is doing is making me cringe. The way she's speaking to staff is making my toes curl. She's even made my best friend cry. So my plan was to bring a small bag with the essentials. You know, a bit of concealer, a little bit of foundation to kind of see us throughout the day. She insists I bring my whole kit. My entire kit. Just in case her or any of her like 12 bridesmaids need their face topping up throughout the day. I thought I was a guest. When I go to the reception, I can't relax because I've got thousands of pounds worth of kit. Anyone could just like walk over and start helping themselves. And they did. The bridesmaids kept walking over to my kit and helping themselves. The wedding is beautiful. You can tell it has cost an absolute fortune. No expense has been spared. It looks like something you'd see in OK magazine. It ends up being an okay day. But she never pays me and she doesn't even mention it. By this point, I've kind of just come to expect this behaviour. And for around 6 months, I'm really upset about it, but I eventually let it go. And I never hear from her again after that. Eventually, her and my friend would fall out. A few years after that, I'm not a makeup artist anymore and I'm just sticking to doing eyebrows. And someone walks into the salon that I really recognise. It's the groom's mum from the wedding. And she proceeds to tell me how actually Abigail and her son had gotten a divorce around 8 months after that, which I did know, but I didn't know the reason. Abigail had said her mum and dad were going to pay for the wedding, or if not, at least half. But actually what she'd been doing is putting all these different fees on different cards in their joint name. And when her husband found out about it, he'd gone absolutely mental. But she'd been like, don't worry, my dad's going to pay it. And eventually it all comes to a head. The groom actually goes and asks her parents. Her parents have got absolutely no idea that Abigail has said this. They were under the impression that his family were paying for everything. After all, they're the minted ones. No. Abigail's actually told her husband that her parents are multimillionaires, but they're very low-key. And somehow he never questions that. Basically, she was pretty much like that Anna Delvini, whatever her name is. And she'd only really wanted to be friends with me to get her makeup done for free. Anyway, I heard she's remarried now, so let's hope the new guy isn't as gullible.